Most people think fighting back is the only way to stop a manipulator. They rehearse arguments, build their case, and wait for the moment they can finally expose the toxic person for who they truly are. But that is exactly the reaction they are counting on. Every word you fire back, every explanation you offer, every frustrated sigh you cannot suppress. It is fuel. And emotional vampires do not need much to keep the fire burning. What if the most powerful move you could make was to become as boring as a literal grey rock? Not cold, not aggressive, not even silent in a dramatic way. Just completely, utterly uninteresting. A grey rock offers nothing. No drama, no warmth, no reaction. And a manipulator with nothing to feed on will, eventually, move on. Today we are exploring the Stoic art of grey rocking, a method so effective at neutralizing toxic personalities that it feels almost unfair, and yet it requires almost nothing from you at all. The grey rock method describes a technique of making yourself an unrewarding target by offering dull, non-committal responses and withholding any emotional energy that could be used as leverage. But the roots of this idea run far deeper than modern psychology. They run all the way back to the Stoic tradition of ancient Rome and Greece. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you have power over your mind, not outside events. Epictetus taught that it is not things that disturb us, but our judgments about things. Seneca warned repeatedly that the person who reacts has already lost. What the Stoics understood, centuries before the term emotional vampire existed, is that toxic energy is parasitic. It requires a host. It requires your attention, your emotion, your investment. Remove those things and the parasite has nothing to attach to. This is grey rocking in its purest philosophical form. Not a trick, not a performance. A genuine shift in how you relate to chaos, from participant to observer. Let us break down exactly how it works. Section 1. The anatomy of the emotional vampire. Before we can apply the grey rock method, we need to understand precisely what we are dealing with. The modern emotional manipulator does not exclusively operate in dark rooms or dramatic confrontations. They operate in group chats, family dinners, open plan offices, and comment sections. They thrive wherever there is an audience and a source of reactive energy. Their primary resource is not money, status, or power, at least not directly. Their primary resource is your cognitive energy, the mental bandwidth you spend processing their behavior, defending yourself against their accusations, and trying to make sense of their inconsistencies. That expenditure, that invisible drain on your attention and your nervous system, is exactly what sustains them. Here is the biological hook you need to understand. When a manipulator provokes you, your body responds with a genuine stress response. Cortisol rises, adrenaline fires, your attention narrows. You become, in a very real physiological sense, their fuel source. They have learned, consciously or not, that certain behaviors reliably produce this response in you. And as long as they can produce it, they will return to it. This is why traditional confrontation almost never works. Confrontation is a reaction, and any reaction, anger, tears, lengthy explanation, carefully reasoned argument, confirms to the emotional vampire that you are still engaged, that the hook is still in, that there is still something here worth pursuing. To neutralize them, you do not argue better. You stop being an interesting target entirely. Section 2. The Stoic Blueprint for Indifference. Marcus Aurelius imagined the philosophical mind as an impenetrable monolith, not a wall that resists and strains against the force of the wind, a rock. Something so solid, so fundamentally indifferent to the storm that the storm has no point of purchase. This is the image at the heart of Stoic grey rocking. You are not building resistance, you are removing reactivity. These are not the same thing. Resistance implies effort. It implies that you are pushing back against something that is pushing against you, and effort, in this context, is visible. A manipulator can feel resistance. They can probe it, exploit it, and use the very fact of your resistance as evidence that you are affected. But the impenetrable monolith does not resist. It simply does not respond. There is nothing to push against. No feedback, no signal, no confirmation that the impact has registered. The Stoic reframe here is critical. Stop treating the antagonist as a personal enemy who deserves your strategic attention, and start treating them as you would treat bad weather. You do not negotiate with rain. You do not argue with fog. You do not try to expose the moral failures of a thunderstorm. You acknowledge it exists, you adjust your behavior accordingly, and you go about your life. This is not defeat. This is the highest possible expression of Stoic strength, the total refusal to allow another person's dysfunction to become your emergency. Section 3. Mastering the mechanics of grey rocking. So what does grey rocking actually look like in practice? The first tool is the dull response. When a manipulator makes a provocative statement designed to trigger defensiveness, jealousy, guilt, or anger, you respond with the most neutral, low-energy reply available. Okay, I see. That is interesting. Right, not sarcastic, not clipped in a way that signals suppressed anger. Genuinely flat, as though they have just told you about a minor administrative update that does not concern you. This is disorienting to someone who is used to extracting drama from you. They are accustomed to a certain return on their provocations. When they receive nothing, not even the subtle satisfaction of visible tension, the familiar cycle is broken. They will often escalate, trying to find the right button. Let them. Your response remains the same. The second tool is the neutral face. Non-verbal communication carries enormous weight in these interactions. A clenched jaw, a flash of hurt behind the eyes, a slightly too controlled expression. All of these broadcast that you're affected. The grey rock maintains a genuinely relaxed, mildly bored facial expression. Not the rigid blankness of someone suppressing emotion, but the natural ease of someone who simply does not find this interesting. The third tool is the withholding of leverage. Emotional vampires collect information. They gather your insecurities, your ambitions, your sensitivities, your past wounds, and they use them. The grey rock withholds the raw material. You do not share recent triumphs that can be diminished. You do not mention vulnerabilities that can be exploited. You do not volunteer personal details that can be weaponized later. Your inner life is yours. In the presence of a toxic person, it remains entirely private. Section 4. The psychological fortress of internal silence. Here is the part that most explanations of grey rocking tend to skip, and it is the most important part. The external technique of dull responses and neutral expressions will fail consistently and visibly if your inner world is still in chaos, because the inner world will leak. Through micro-expressions, through slight changes in breathing, through the almost imperceptible shift in energy that perceptive people, and manipulators are often extremely perceptive, will detect immediately. Grey rocking is not just a behavioral strategy, it is an internal practice, and the Stoic tradition gives us the precise framework to build it. The first principle is decoupling your self-worth from the manipulator's narrative. They will tell you, explicitly or implicitly, that you are inadequate, irrational, too sensitive, or deeply flawed. Your job is not to defend against these claims. Your job is to be so anchored in your own self-knowledge that the claims simply do not land. A person who knows precisely who they are cannot be destabilized by someone else's description of them. The second principle is the Stoic reserve clause, the practice of accepting completely and without resentment that you cannot control another person's behavior. You can only control your own response. This sounds simple. It is not. It requires the daily discipline of returning your attention to your own actions and releasing your grip on outcomes that belong to someone else's will. The third principle is the practice of observing rather than participating. When you are in a toxic interaction, train yourself to step slightly back in your own mind, to watch the dynamic unfold as though you are a researcher studying behavior, not a person under attack. This mental distance is not dissociation. It is the clear-eyed Stoic gaze that Marcus Aurelius described as seeing things as they truly are, stripped of the layer of judgment and emotion that we habitually place over them. From this place of internal silence, the external technique becomes not an effort, but a natural expression of where you actually are. Section 5. The power shift of absolute presence. When you have mastered grey rocking, when the external technique is backed by genuine internal stillness, something significant happens. The power dynamic inverts. The manipulator entered the interaction expecting to extract energy from you. They expected to feel enlarged by your diminishment, energized by your distress, validated by your reaction. Instead, they encounter a surface that returns nothing. No amplification, no reflection of their drama, no confirmation that what they are doing has any effect. This is deeply disorienting for someone who has learned to operate through provocation. And in that disorientation, the balance of power shifts entirely to you, not because you have asserted anything, but because you have simply refused to play the role they wrote for you. The energy you previously spent on defense, on processing, on recovering from these interactions, that energy becomes available to you again, entirely. You can redirect it into your work, your genuine relationships, your creative life, your growth. The emotional vampire who once consumed hours of your mental bandwidth becomes, over time, a minor inconvenience you handle with minimal effort. And eventually, not always, not overnight, but eventually, they will seek a more reactive target, not because you have won a confrontation, because you have made yourself genuinely uninteresting to a creature that survives on drama. You have become the grey rock, and a grey rock offers nothing worth taking. The Stoics understood something that took modern psychology centuries to confirm. You cannot control the behavior of others. You can only control the surface you present to the world and the fortress you maintain within. Grey rocking is not avoidance. It is not cowardice. It is the ancient Stoic truth translated into a practical daily discipline. The truth that your peace is not something another person can take from you unless you hand it to them. Most people hand it over without realizing they have a choice. You do. You have always had a choice. Become the rock, offer nothing to feed on, and watch the storm pass over you entirely unmoved. If this landed for you, subscribe and stay close, because this is the territory we live in, the intersection of ancient wisdom and modern psychological reality. Until next time, protect your inner world. Everything else is weather.